Hey, fam, it is what, Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
And this is our latest episode of Just My Opinion. I'm the spiritual stud.
And I am MT, baby.
And we're going to get busy with
Yep.
our second episode about sex.
Let's talk about sex right quick. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about. I'm good.
You can keep going. I
I'm
don't care.
good. I'm good.
All right. So we're going to talk about trans today.
Mhm.
The T in the LGBT.
That's it.
And I don't know what I'm going to do with her. Let you go.
Let me go.
I'll interject.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's some new, fascinating, interesting things happening within the trans community.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. So, if you first of all, let's just clarify what trans is.
All right.
Transgender. People who identify as transgender, I'll give you an example. So, if I, being born with female parts, breast, vaginas, a vagina. I like to put the S on the end of stuff. It messes me up. Okay, so I was born with, female hormones, all that kind of stuff. And then in my growing and coming up process, I realized that this is not what I feel like. This is not who I am. I feel male. So a transgendered person has what the medical community would call gender dysphoria. And that's a fancy term basically for you don't feel like the body that you were born into or the gender that you were born into. So that's what a trans person is. So, and you'll hear us talk about like FTM and FTM and MTF. There we go. Got it right. So that means that the male was transformed to a female.
Transform.
MTF.
Transform.
No, I don't.
Transition.
Transition. Sorry. Okay, it is. It's a lot. Okay. So and then FTM means female transitioning to male. There are post-op and pre-op trans people. So post-op means before you would have surgery, whether that's removal of the breast or whether it's, gender reassignment surgery, and post after. Sorry. Okay, post is after, behind. Okay, so they've already had some surgeries or maybe one surgery. Something. And then pre means that they have not yet had surgery. Ha! Got that one right. Okay, so that's what it is. Now, they're in our rainbow family.
Mm-hmm.
I've been seeing some stuff going viral lately about the trans community, and it involves people who regret making the transition and now they want to transition back to their original sex, which is almost impossible depending on where you are, post or pre. Because, okay, let me just give you an example that I saw on the website, on the little, thing on the Facebookers. So this person was born female, felt like they had gender dysphoria, took hormone therapy, then they did their breast removal. And what happened was, after a couple of years of living as a trans man, they decided, this isn't me. Oh my God, what have I done? And now they want to transition back to their original female body and live in their original sex. So, talk about stirring up some controversy, baby. This is really the stuff hitting the fan. So, right?
Go ahead.
Okay, so
questions.
Exactly. So people were commenting. I'll tell you what I think. What I think is, sometimes I think that in our efforts to help trans people, counselors are not always doing such a great job. Yeah. Because you should know that being a trans person and being able to take hormones or to be able to have gender reassignment surgery. You don't just wake up one day and go, hey, I'm going to go find a doctor who's going to do this.
Right.
That's usually not the way that happens. It's a long journey. It's
Right.
usually at least a year of therapy before they even give you the testosterone or the shots, the hormonal shots. Like, that's like where they discover, okay, how do you feel about this? And I wonder, because I was going to go into social work, baby, in my classes there were some people who was so mixed up about the LGBT community. Like, they did not understand what our trans brothers and sisters and family go through. And if those people graduated, unlike myself, and are working, if they are working, actively working and working with the trans community, and they don't have a clue what they're doing, maybe that's part of the problem. Also, I always have to look at the religious community and what influence they may have on someone who is transgendered, because we know how many religious people feel about us. And if they're like, oh, you disfigured your body and that's shameful, and if they're dealing with those type of issues, I wonder if that hasn't contributed to it. And I only say that because I'm not saying it can't happen, because all things are possible. It's very possible that a person transitioned while they were young and they went through all the proper channels, and then in their adulthood said, wait, this isn't who I am. Okay? That can happen. There's a range of possibilities. But I think what I found is that that is extremely rare. And the religious right and the conservatives are trying to point these people out as like, see, this is why you don't give young people hormones. See, this is why you shouldn't allow people to transition before, they're adults. And they're championing these people as reasons why people should not transition, which I think is unhealthy and wrong.
So, this person, did they say what made them feel like? So, were they no longer like? Okay, so they were still female. That's how they felt, right? So, did they ever feel like they were a man?
Honey,
because this is the thing, right? As a stud, take it how you want it. You can feel masculine. You present masculine, but you can still be female. You know what I mean?
Right.
You think like a woman. You have that, but you have some masculine ways. You don't want to get rid of your parts. So my question is, like, were they sure when they did this? Because sometimes we can fool ourselves into thinking we're something when we're really not. And it's that therapy, like you say, that therapist's job to pull that out of us, to go back and find that the root of it. Are you really trans? Because me, we know me. I am, but I will never do the surgery. Not, and I kind of want to do some of the top. Some of this can go.
A little bit off the top.
Just a little bit left.
Just a little bit left.
But I mean, honestly, I think like a dude. I do. I can't. But I'm not saying that I'm not having a surgery because I don't want to. I'm not having a surgery because, one, I don't want to be the little old man, and two, I just don't want to do it. I mean, the only thing I really, like I say, top would be good for me if I can get my job to pay for it, a reduction.
Right.
That would be good for me, but I'm not sure that these people. I just wonder if they were really thinking and not really being. Because you can think you're a dude. You can think, oh man, I'm a, you can be a lesbian and think that you're a dude, and that's different than being. Thinking, being. Thinking, being. That's two totally different things, and it just bothers me because it does give them ammunition against us. I mean, not saying that, like you said, things don't happen, but in the midst of us trying just to survive and exist and live, it's very difficult for us when those things happen. Not taking anything away from their lives, because their lives are pretty much, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, she could get
implants.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see,
you got to get off the T and all that.
But
other
see, some
stuff.
of those changes are irreversible.
Yeah.
Like if you start taking T at a certain age, the voice is gonna drop.
Yeah.
The reshaping of the structure of the body, some of those things are not able to go back the way they were. There's also side effects that we have yet to fully understand of taking the hormone therapy.
Right,
I mean,
right.
now I know that doctors who do this sincerely want all their patients to be completely informed about everything they could possibly know as of yet. But I have seen a lot of my trans friends who are female to male who transition from and they have male pattern baldness.
See.
I have the documentary that I saw, the trans woman, she was born male, transitioned to female. She had got a lump in her breast.
Ooh.
And because of that had to stop taking hormones in the midst of her transitioning, which that was challenging, and there was possible things that the hormonal changes could have caused the lump in her chest. I mean, there's all kinds of complications that come with altering your body.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can deny the mental aspects of it, because yes, there are physical things that we would like to change. Well, I can't say we. That I've heard trans people say, because I like mine. Well, I take that back.
I ain't saying she. I don't know.
My uterus is straight from hell. And that can go. That's a fact. I'm actively working on that. But that's not the point. The point is my trans friends have said that in the mind, you know what I mean? We have to flush those things in the mind. Yeah. And there is a very tiny group of LGBT counselors who offer services to people who are transitioning. And I'm not saying that these people who have maybe decided, through their transition that this was not for them, they want to, they're shocked and appalled at what has happened and they want to go back. But I have yet to personally know one trans person that regretted their decision. And I know a handful right here in the Kansas City area. Yeah. And I've been to some of the meetings where there's trans people. And I have done, my homework on a lot of these things. And like I said, I cannot deny any person's truth. Right. I will not deny any person's truth. If that's your journey, I am so sorry that happened to you, and I wish you the best in correcting whatever you feel like you need to correct. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like there are places in the system along the way that might have failed someone who's trans.
Something had to happen. I don't know. It's kind of like watching. I like women's. I just. I'm like, what happened?
Right.
Right. What happened? I just really have a problem. I do. I'm not gonna lie about it. Go ahead.
One more small point. another issue within counseling and the religious community, that intersection, even for LGBT people, because we do have some LGBT people who are counselors. But if your religious beliefs trump your sexuality, and you still are conflicted with that, I can't say that those people still would not give improper counseling to someone who is in the midst of transitioning. I say that from a place of love because, like I said, I took class after class after class. We talked about LGBT issues at Longview Community College. And let me tell you, I'm not naming names, but in these classes that I took, I was appalled at some of the answers about people going into helping fields like social work and those that were even going on to be police officers. And because, like, when you take social work classes, that's a broad, it's a lot of helping fields. And so when I heard their responses to our community, I'm like, I've said it in class, I hope you never graduate. I hope you never make it to the job you want, because God forbid you are the person that some LGBT person needs to come to for assistance and you sound like an idiot and you are clueless and cruel. I hope you never make it. I hope you find a new career path, because this ain't for you. I said it. Are we moving on? Unapologetically. I told you it was about to get deep.
All right, so I'm doing some reading, queer theology, and where I am right now in the book, it was talking about how the bodies became kind of, how do you want to say this? Back in the olden days when there was Aristotle and Augustine and the beginning of Christianity and all of that, the body was considered to be something that had to be subdued. And there was really, they considered there to be only one sex, and that was the male. And the female was a defective form of the male. So, as you can see, patriarchy has just always reared its ugly head. So when you look at the sex of people, so you're saying, male and female, that didn't come into fruition for a long time, because back then they just didn't believe a lot of stuff. I mean, they didn't know a lot of things and they didn't believe a lot of things. They really believed in what they could see, pretty much, and then imagine. So what I was looking at was, when you're born, when you're born, the first thing they do is say, "Oh, it's a boy," or "Oh, it's a girl." You're sexed at that point, but that's not your gender. They don't know what your gender is. But the thing is, when they tell the father and the mother, say hello to your son. Boom, where does your head go? My boy, I get to play, run, roughhouse, we're going to play ball, we're going to do this, or say hello to your baby girl, she's so beautiful. Oh, my precious little princess. These are the things that's gender. They have gendered their child based on the sex.
That's good stuff.
So when you come from that, right? Then you go into they're growing up, and a lot of times, like, these parents are facing this now at 2 and 3 years old, when their kid is like, "I'm not a girl," or "I'm not a boy. I want to wear your dress." "Mommy, put some lipstick on me. I want to." And they're looking at the kid like, "What?"
Right.
But that's their gender coming out. That's the gender being expressed, and so now you have a whole other thing to deal with. What do I do? Now you have these parents who are supposedly woke, who are not no parts of the gender. We're going to let them decide as they grow. Fine. That's what you do. I have a 3-year-old. She's very much a princess, but she's rough.
Yeah.
She's rough, but she loves to be a prince. I'm a princess. So then, just because she's rough doesn't mean she wants to be a boy. Because she's very much a princess. She likes her dresses. She's all that. But we're not telling her what she is. She's telling us as she grows what she is. I'm not one to say when you should give your child hormones. No. I'm not an expert. I'm not a psychic. I can't tell you how it's going to turn out when they're 18 if you start them at 7. I don't know. And even like you said, there's not a lot of medical experience on the side effects and the outcomes because they haven't really been faced with this. So they don't know what's going to happen. But the thing you have to understand is if your son tells you he don't want to play football or your son walks a little, as people say, with sugar in his tank, deal with that. I mean, really face it. Talk to him. There's no reason to go in there and try to, as Janet Mock says, the rage of trying to masculinize somebody that's not masculine. You can't do it. Take it from somebody, they tried to feminize me. I didn't care what the heck I wore. I was still a boy in a dress. That was just how I felt. And I tried it. I even tried to feel, I tried to feel that way because I knew my family. I knew what I came from. And I knew the effect that this would have on them. So, and no one wants to really go through that and put their families through pain. So you have to, you kind of, in your own mind, you're saving your family. But at some point in time, they have to save themselves. And that's where the rubber meets the road. Are you going to be, as parents or friends or family, are you going to be that person that's their lifeline? Because they need one. We all needed one. When we started facing the reality of who we were in this world, oh man, it became very difficult.
Yes.
Because you're not only walking through this world as a black person, but you're walking through the world as a black female or a black male. And then you're not even the right kind of black female or black male. So then you gotta face these kinds of things. And if you don't have a lifeline, you will die. And I don't mean suicide. I mean you will die inside. You will die. The things that you could have been, the things that you dreamt of being, all of that will die, and you will become just a facade. And you will stand in front of the world and you will say, I like women's. Women's. That's it.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. Ooh, that fires me up. So, okay, so 2 points. One, it's very interesting what you said about growing up and trying to be something that you're not. Because, like, when I was coming up, my grandma, honey, in church, baby, grandma was like, I wish you would go to church. And you are not dressed appropriately, okay? Which meant I had to have them good pantyhose. I had to have them good, they called them foundation garments, which was the cone bra, so your boobs sticking out like this. And then the girdle. Woo! I was suited and booted for church, baby. Okay? Now, the funny thing is, full disclosure, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. So Seventh-day Adventist religion encourages their young women not to be super sexualized, okay? Yeah. No lipstick, no nail polish and all this, which I was fine with, not doing that. Like, I didn't know anything different.
Yeah.
And so when I got into and met my first girlfriend and we were, hanging out with gay people, and I was like, oh, Like, I was green. I didn't know nothing.
Yeah,
so when I
yeah.
saw studs, I was like, that's sharp. I like that. That's different. Like, oh, I like that style. You know, like, I dug everything about it. But I didn't know how to transition myself from the good church girl into being a stud.
Yeah.
And so I just went out and bought men's clothes.
Yeah.
That was in my size because I was like, okay, here we go. Let's try this out. Yeah. Ooh, that was a hot mess. But I swung all the way to like hyper masculine because I was trying to get rid of the past me that was the church girl. Yeah. I didn't want anybody thinking of me like that because I didn't feel like that, you know? Yeah. And so, but I found trouble dating because it was like the girl that I was trying to get with, she wanted, well, that's another story. We ain't got time for that. The point is, I swung to hyper masculine because I felt better that way. It felt more powerful that way. It felt more, I was in control. You know, I was that, you know, it's funny because in our community, we call it MOC, masculine of center, or AG, aggressives, you know, and so I felt that was me. Like in my relationships, I like to have a certain amount of, I don't know what you call it, mannishness, I don't know, something like that. But anyway, then it kind of swung back just a teeny bit. Stop laughing at me. So it swung back just a teeny bit because I didn't like being hyper masculine. That's not all the way me. Right. Some of parts of it felt good, but it wasn't all of me, you know, to be like, I remember there was a point when I didn't have like any women's clothes, like nothing. Yeah. Like everything I owned except for my drawers because of this evil uterus. I didn't have like anything feminine, nothing, you know. But as the pendulum swung back just a teeny bit, I was like, I had to give myself permission to dress and to feel like myself. It has been a long journey to get here. And y'all in the community are some of the most roughest, toughest jerks on people who are still trying to figure out who they are. Yeah. Y'all are rude and disrespectful because when I was MT, it was like, oh, that's Pops. Oh, that's, you know, I'm cool with that. We good. But when I am Starla, which is my real name, government, don't Google me. When I am that, then people was like, oh, she fish. You know, it was like people in the community had a problem with me because I don't know if I felt like maybe they felt like they was set up with the MT hyper masculineness of me, but I'm just trying to do me. Yeah. I'm gender fluid. Boom, there it is. There it is. There it is. I'm comfortable with that now, but I wasn't always. And as I was on my journey, it was people within the community because that's mainly what I hung out with was us. It was like, oh, you did your eyebrows? You know, that's feminine.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know because I used to have very long hair. Mm-hmm. And that ish was getting permed. Mm-hmm. And they were like, you perm your hair? Well, yeah. Because I wore like ponytails. Mm-hmm. And so, before I started getting my hair braided and all that, before the natural thing, and I was okay with getting it cut, I did that. And some chick was at my house and she said, you perm your hair? And I was like, yeah. Rude. Is that a problem? I mean, I didn't know that there were rules that I had to follow. Y'all didn't write that up for me. I couldn't Google it. I mean, I'm just saying.
There's a comedian. Oh, I wish I could think of her name. She is so funny. And her video has gone viral about, like, if you're a stud, what you can be. And she was like, you only get 2 hairstyles. You can have a fade or you can have dreads.
Right. Like, and I had both.
You can't have no perm. You can't. Look. You can do whatever you want to do. It's your freedom of choice. It's your body. It's your hair. You can do whatever you want. But I just need our community to get it together to leave people alone too. as we are finding ourselves, or as we are becoming ourselves, or showing ourselves to others, give people the space to be who they are.
Stop being oppressive.
Yes.
Oppressors.
Yes.
You're oppressed.
Colonizers.
And you want to oppress too. Well, there you go. I think that is our time to wrap it up.
Okay. I'm good with that.
All right. So we're done.
Yes. We're going to talk more about sex next time, I promise.
Yeah, because we didn't make it this time. But anyway, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. We love you. I'm the Spiritual Stud.
And I am MT, baby.
And we's out of here. Peace.
Peace.